big-ass dragons, hot embroidering action, and the craziest use of an eye for an eye since the Bible. Season 2 of HBO's hotly anticipated series House of the Dragon, based off the book Fire and Blood, has just released its first episode, and I'm here to try to bring harder than Viserys on his head. In this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into the episode, differences from the book, and answering some of your biggest questions. Keep in mind there will be no spoilers beyond this episode. And make sure to like and subscribe. I'll be doing all sorts of House of the Dragon videos throughout the season. Season 2 starts with a brand new intro credit sequence. Whereas Season 1's intro followed the Targaryen line of succession, Season 2 tells a much more expansive retelling of the entire dynasty going back hundreds of years. And we all know how much Daemon loves tapestries. Would you like to see the tapestry? The tapestry depicts events such as the Doom of Valyria, in which a series of volcanoes known as the 14 Flames erupted, consuming the city in fire and ash. This event would lead to Aegon's conquest and his eventual rule over the Seven Kingdoms. We'll later see House Arryn, Stark, and Tully all bending the knee, with the Targaryen crest ruling over King's Landing. As we continue the Targaryen story, we'll see King Maegor the Cruel, who was found dead on the Iron Throne with his arms slashed and a blade through his neck coming out of his chin. From Maegor, we go to King Jaehaerys I and his wife Alicent. We saw Jaehaerys at the Great Council of 101 AD, in which his grandson Viserys would take over the throne upon his death. This event is also depicted in the tapestry, where we can see Viserys and his wife Aemma on the left and Corlys Velaryon and Princess Rhaenys on the right. The Queen Mother Alicent is seen here representing Team Green in the civil war known as the Dance of Dragons. On the opposite end is Rhaenyra representing Team Black. You'll see members of their respective teams on either side. Finally, we have Rhaenyra sitting on the throne at Dragonstone and Aegon on the Iron Throne. For those of you who have read the book, there is another image of a major event that occurs, but we're not going to get into spoilers. The episode begins with a somber reflection on duty by Cregan Stark. Duty is sacrifice. It eclipses all things. It is this sense of duty that is at the heart of the impending civil war, and many of our characters will be forced to choose between two duties. Cregan, the duty between protecting the North from attack, and the duty of aiding his sworn queen. Rhaenyra, between the duty of being a mother and the duty of being the queen. As you can see, this can get very messy. Duty is so important to House Stark that 1 in every 10 men is sent to fortify the wall at the onset of every winter. It is Cregan's sense of duty that Lord Jacaerys Velaryon appeals to when asking for men to join in the fight against Aegon. Remember, at the end of Season 3, Rhaenyra sent her 2 boys to enlist the help of various houses across Westeros. Cregan is the great-great-great-great-grandfather of Eddard Stark, and he has taken Jace to the wall just as his father took Lord Jaehaerys years ago. To make things even more ominous, he tells how the Targaryen dragons wouldn't go beyond the wall, foreshadowing the eventual rise of the White Walkers. Rhaenyra sent her second eldest, Lucerys, on an easier mission, thinking House Baratheon at Storm's End would undoubtedly be on their side. This would prove a costly mistake, as we saw what happened at the end of the season. Prince Aemon's killing of Luke is considered the opening salvo of the Dance of Dragons, the name of the civil war which pits King Aegon's Greens and Queen Rhaenyra's Blacks. Since the book Fire and Blood is presented as a historical treatise, it contains different accounts of what actually happened to Luke, with one account stating that the prince actually survived but lost all memory of who he was, spending the rest of his days as a simple-minded fisherman. In the book, Rhaenyra never finds the dragon wing and Luke's shawl along the shore, but I think this was a good addition to give Rhaenyra closure and to fuel her vengeance. Upon hearing of his younger brother's death, Jace makes his way back to Dragonstone, having secured 2,000 of Cregan's men and the support of House Arryn in exchange for protection of the Vale with a dragon. Rhaenys, the queen who never was, returns from her patrol at sea. Corlys Velarion's fleet have created a naval blockade around the Gullet, essentially cutting off any trade with King's Landing. Later in the episode, we'll see King Aegon II take a petition from a smith named Hugh, who requests money up front to create weapons. Aegon is quick to say yes, not knowing that the coffers could soon dry up if the capital has no trade. We'll see just how naive Aegon is as his kingdom sits on the brink of civil war. He pays little attention during the small council, gets drunk with his buddies at night, and has to constantly be reminded how things work by his hand and grandfather, Otto Hightower. With Rhaenyra on the lookout for the body of her son, an impulsive Daemon wants to gather his dragon and head to King's Landing with Rhaenys to kill Vhagar and Aemond. A son for a son, both the title of this episode and line straight from the book. As we'll see throughout the episode, lore has made Daemon particularly distrustful. He chastises Rhaenys for not killing Aegon during his coronation ceremony. If you'd have acted when you had the Jones, Aegon's name would be extinguished. And openly states his distrust of Sir Eric even after this guy risked life and limb to bring Rhaenyra her father's crown, leaving his twin brother Sir Ark, who is loyal to Aegon, in the process. Rhaenys will not follow Daemon's command, for he is not king. What did you the king? Corlys Velaryon is looking a little worse for wear as he inspects the damage done to his ship. Here we meet Alan of Hull, a man who saved Corlys from drowning in the Stepstones. They tell me that you're the one that dragged my body out of the sea. It's only my duty. He's had the smithy prepare a blade for Corlys's grandson Luke, but he won't be needing that anymore. While the scene doesn't really advance the plot, as a reader of the book I can see why they put it in. But we'll come back to that as this season progresses. Sir Ark, the twin brother loyal to Aegon, keeps watch along the ramparts of King's Landing as Vhagar and Aemond return home. Here we get a look at one of those expensive ballistas used to bring down dragons. With Aegon king, his wife Helaena, who also happens to be his sister, is queen. Aegon has come to take his son Jaehaerys, yes, named after this Jaehaerys, to take part in the small council, for he will one day be king. In the background, you can make out Jaehaera, Jaehaerys' twin sister, making it difficult to tell the two apart, which becomes a pivotal plot point. Helaena tells Aegon that she's afraid of the rats, a rather odd thing to say, but Helaena is no stranger to saying weird prophetic things. In Season 1, she predicted her brother losing an eye. You will have a dragon one day. He'll have to crazy an eye. She predicts the Dance of Dragons.
Son's name. Corlys Green, Corlys Grant, Dragons, the Flash, Waiting, Dragons, Drag.
And Rhaenys' escape from the Dragon Pit.
There is a beast beneath the bones. Oh, my dearest love.
The rats, of course, refer to the characters Blood and Cheese posing as rat catchers to kill her child. In fact, if you pay close attention, you can see the rat catcher Cheese in many of the early scenes, like here and here. Well, Alicent has gone from showing her feet to giving Criston something to eat. I apologize. With her ex-husband King Viserys dead, she needs a little TLC, and Criston is more than willing to help. She says this is the last time this will happen, but we'll see the two together in bed after the episode's chilling finale. Aegon's small council is composed of his mother Alicent, Hand Otto Hightower, Lord of Laws Jasper Wilde, Grand Maester Orwyle, and Master of Coin Tywin Lannister, whose twin brother Jason is currently amassing an army to fight by Aegon's side at Golden Tooth. The big question is, which houses will pledge their allegiance to Aegon? By marrying Aemond off to Lady Floris Baratheon, they've gained the support of Storm's End. Lord Ormond Hightower is also busy amassing forces from Old Town in the south, but with Raven sent to Winterfell and the Vale with no response, it's not looking good. Things are also not looking good at sea, with the blockade starting to inflict a heavy toll on the capital. There's a suggestion that Lord Dalton Greyjoy be offered the position of Master of Ships, a position previously held by Corlys in exchange for his fleet. But the most strategic point they need to fortify is Harrenhal to the north, which is currently in their control under the command of Lord Simon Strong, Larys's great uncle. Speaking of Larys, Alicent meets with the Master of Whisperers, who vaguely implies claw as he knows she was hooking up with Kristen. Blackmail is his weapon of choice against the poor queen, and he's even had any traitorous staff of hers executed and replaced with those loyal to him. This makes him even more powerful, as they will no doubt report to him on the queen's comings and goings. This paranoia seeps into the next scene as Alicent dismisses her handmaidens as they give her a bath. The king's naivete is on full display during the taking of petitions. You can tell that he wants to be a good king, offering to give back the sheep he took from this poor cow farmer, but he doesn't understand why they were taken in the first place and has to renege on his promise. In a private meeting between Alicent and Otto, the two talk about how Aegon is still enamored with the quote novelty of rule. When that wanes, the two of them can steer Aegon as they wish to achieve their common goal. But Alicent is pissed at her father for undermining her at the small council in front of her sons, stating,
If you undermine my voice, both those boys will go deaf to it.
speaking of influencing the king, that no good Loras takes Aegon aside and plants the idea of ousting Hightower, basically stating Otto has already served two kings faithfully. Maybe it's time King Aegon has someone new. We'll see these cutaway shots of Loras as he watches as Otto advises the king. So he knows how easy Aegon can be manipulated by him and be manipulated in general. Corlys's fleet stumbles upon a merchant vessel carrying Mysaria, the White Worm, Daemon's former paramour. She sold secrets to Otto Hightower in his quest to usurp the throne, thus making her an enemy of Rhaenyra. But Daemon strikes a deal with her. Mysaria has a vast network of spies and shady friends in Fleabottom, the dregs of King's Landing. Perhaps she'll know someone with the skills needed to infiltrate the castle and kill Aemond, an eye for an eye after all. After mourning her son, Rhaenyra returns to Dragonstone and says her only line in the entire episode.
I want Aemond Targaryen.
Her War Council, also known as the Black Council, gives us some insight as to what will happen in the upcoming episodes, with Daemon, Baela, and Rhaena stating they will take Harrenhal with their dragons. A little detail I enjoyed here was Jace comforted by his betrothed, Baela, as he updates his mother on his mission to the north. Although the words he says are all about his travels, the real emotion here is a mother and son mourning the loss of a brother and son. This leads to a makeshift funeral where different possessions of Luke's are tossed into the pyre. But I also like how this was juxtaposed with Alicent lighting candles and saying a prayer for the dead in the same sept she and Rhaenyra frequented as kids. Alicent says a prayer for three deceased people. The first, Alarie Florent, her mother and wife to Otto. The second, her husband King Viserys. And third, Lucerys. It shows that Alicent still has empathy for someone who is technically her enemy and also her step-grandson. She holds love for our enemy. That makes her a fool. We also get this mournful shot of Rhaena, who was betrothed to Luke. Daemon makes the perilous journey to King's Landing in disguise. And by disguise, I mean just a cloak. As a former commander of the City Watch, Daemon still has members loyal to him, and that's where this guy named Blood comes in. Blood will lead Daemon to Cheese, who was the man Mysaria told him was the right man for the job. Not only was he one of the castle's rat catchers, which allows him to get around without drawing attention, he knows all the castle's secret passages better than a shape of my own. The deal is to kill Prince Aemond, and Cheese asks what they should do if they can't find him, to which we never get an answer. The book never gives a definitive answer on who the primary target was, but we can rule out King Aegon, as he would always be surrounded by his Kingsguard. Meanwhile, Sir Criston Cole and Prince Aemond gripe about how long it's taking to go to war. Aegon, upon the guidance of Otto and his mother, has taken things slow. We even get insight into how duplicitous Aemond thinks his mother is. On the one hand, Alicent blames Aemond for starting this war, but on the other, she was the one who helped Aegon usurp the throne in the first place. Otto goes on to warn Aemond not to get a grip on his impulses and not to make plans behind his and the king's back. It's hard to tell if this is a word of advice or a warning. Under the guise of rat catchers, Blood and Cheese make their way through the sewers and tunnels, bypassing with ease Aegon sitting on the throne. We even get to see this statue of Viserys being crafted. No doubt he's turning in his grave at what his child and wife have started. In the royals' quarters, Aemond's room proves to be empty, but it's not long before they discover Helaena and her two sleeping children. Now, I will have a separate video on the differences between the show and book version because it's absolutely insane what happens in the book. The mission was a son for a son, and they ask which of the two children is the boy. It's important they kill the boy and not the girl, considering the boy is next in line to the throne. She points to her son, and the two men go on to sever his head while Helena grabs her daughter and runs to her mother.
They killed the boy.
The book version of this event plays out a lot different. Rather than searching around the castle for the royals, Blood and Cheese sneak into Alicent's room, knowing that Helena comes with her children every night to kiss their grandma. At this point in the book, Jaehaerys and Jahara are 6 years old, and Helena has a 2-year-old son named Maelor with them as well. Blood and Cheese gag and tie Alicent and await for Helena's arrival, ultimately holding them all at knife point. This is where things get absolutely insane. Not only does Blood end up being her 6-year-old girl, but Cheese makes Helena choose which son to kill. She chooses Maelor, the younger of the two, and Cheese turns to Maelor and says, "Your mama wants you dead," and instead of killing him, kills Jaehaerys. So now this kid has to live the rest of his life with the fact his mother chose him to die. I won't go into what happens to Blood and Cheese after this event, but make sure you're subscribed as this will undoubtedly come into play next episode. A shell-shocked Helena takes Jahara into her mother's chamber, not even computing that Alicent was being intimate with Criston Cole. The final chilling line, "They killed the boy." You can rest assured that if there was any way to avoid war, it is now no longer an option. But what did you think of the first episode of Season 2?